Hello, AniCod here, and today I'm bringing you another Rainbow Six Siege video. Today I thought I'd cover all the attachments. I'm not going into too much detail on them all, but I'm just going to give a rough overview on what I think are the best ones. I'll do a few tests for each attachments as well, and I'll give you all the information so you can make your own mind up which attachments you prefer to use on your weapons. Now before we start, if you do want me to make more Rainbow Six Siege videos, tips or tricks or any maybe like a kill spots series, so I'll look at each map and show you the different kill spots in each map, or it could even be a weapon comparison guide and I'll show you the results on both weapons based on their attachments, or it could even be just individual attachments which I've been doing previously. If you want me to carry on any of that, just let me know in the comments down below and I'll carry on doing it. So let's get straight into the video then. Now I am going to test most of these. So the suppressor then, it dampens a weapon's sound at the cost of weapon damage. Pretty much self-explanatory. You've got the flash hider, which hides the muzzle flash and reduces small burst recoil, one of my favourites. You've got the compensator, which reduces recoil spread over time for rapid firing, and you've got a muzzle brake, which reduces the overall weapon kick for single shot firing. So again, most of these attachments are pretty self-explanatory. You've got vertical grip for the underside, which it decreases a weapon's recoil, and you've also got the angled grip as well, and the angled grip reduces the time it takes to ADS or aim down sight. Pretty simple, but before we test anything we do need a baseline, and I'm not talking about a cool beat. We need a baseline of results so we've got something to compare everything to. So here we go then. Now the first thing I'm going to test is the flash from the weapon. I've chosen Ash's G36 simply because it's highly customizable, really strong weapon, and Ash is a really strong operator. So as you can see, there's a huge amount of flash from that. What I do after is I go back to a short range. Normally I do a short, a medium and a long, but for the essence of this video I'm just going to stick to short range. If you want me to go into any in-depth with any particular attachment, let me know and I'll do an in-depth test on each one, but just for this video, just to get the basic feel across, I'm just going to stick to a nice close range. So I've got ADS in, full mag 30 all the way through. I'm going to measure the first 4 rounds only of burst fire, and ignore this little bit, that little bit's for me, but I'm going to do shot on top of shot and see what the distance is there. So that's what we're going to measure as well. You'll see why we're measuring that a little bit later on, but for the time being that's the results we've got on the baseline for now. So let's have a look at the results then. So I've marked it all in yellow, as you can see, and in the middle I've fired 4 shots, and it's 4 shots that's getting marked. If I accidentally fire more than 4, it's only the first 4. So we also need hip fire as well. So 30 round mag, hip firing, trying to keep everything within the circle, and we're just going to get a gauge of the spread. So to make it easier to see, I've marked this one in yellow as well, and we're going to be using this one as comparison for the rest of the attachment. So now we've got all the baselines in together and we know what we're comparing against. Let's make a start on our first attachment then, and the first attachment is the flash hider, one of my favorites. We'll get straight into it. Now as you can see, we've got the flash hider on the right and the baseline on the left. Pretty self-explanatory, huge difference on flash. I've already covered flash hider. If you haven't seen that, check the card above, and in there will be an in-depth guide into the flash hider. So we've established that it hides the flash, self-explanatory, but what else does it do? Well, let's do the test that we normally do and fire up close, and I'll get the comparison up so you can see exactly what's going on. Now this is a familiar sight for most of my viewers. Now I promised I'd find a different wall and I still haven't. Now the flash hider, it's obviously hides the flash, that's self-explanatory, but what's supposed to happen as well is it reduces small burst recoil. So this now is where we're going to see, or where we're supposed to be seeing, the biggest impact. Now I'm still going to fire a quick double tap in single shot, bang bang, one on top of another, and we're going to see if there's any results there as well, or whether it is literally just finger down burst fire that it reduces. So here's the comparison then, and this is very, very interesting. If I put this up next to the other comparison right now, you can see that there's a very small decrease in muzzle spread on the burst fire, which we could expect, but the double tapping, that's really shocked me. A muzzle brake is supposed to reduce the single shot kick on a weapon, but here you can see that the flash hider's just done the same job. So I think the best thing to do is compare the flash hider to the actual muzzle brake and see what advantage, disadvantage you get. So in that case, we'll do muzzle brake next then. I love making these videos. Normally I'd outburst that to myself and then edit it out, but you know what, I'm keeping it in. I do like making these videos. So anyway, let's get on to the muzzle brake. Sorry about that. Now, an interesting thing about the muzzle brake is it actually changes the shape of the flash. So without a flash hider, you can see on the left hand side that it actually obscures your view. On the right hand side with the muzzle brake, it throws the flash out to the left and to the right, which means it keeps the crosshairs free of any flash so you can see what's happening. And it makes sense as well, because if you think about it, the muzzle brake in an ideal situation is supposed to be used at a slightly longer range, maybe with an ACOG single shot firing, and you don't want a big flash covering when you're shooting at long range, so it kind of makes sense for it to divert the flash around. So now I'm not expecting any big differences in this first initial test, purely because the muzzle brake's designed just to stop recoil of single shot firing. So full bursting like this is probably not going to make any difference. I'll get the comparison up anyway so you can see. We'll still do the 4 shots, but it's this particular test here right now that's going to make the big difference for me. And as you can see already, it's almost one shot on top of another, so much so that I'm going to be willing to push it out actually to a far range and try this test again, single shot firing, one shot on top of another. And I think that the muzzle brake does such a good job that that is going to be as effective as the close range base test, and I'm so confident. I'll get the comparison up now so you can see for yourself. Now, this is the shocking thing about it. The muzzle brake is only supposed to stop the recoil of single shot firing. As you can see, it does a fantastic job at shortening burst fire as well. And if you look at the right hand side on the testing, the double tap one on top of another, the bullet holes are almost sitting on top of each other at a relatively close range. At a far range, it tightens the grouping so much you might as well be stood at point blank. Even when compared with a flash hider, you can clearly see that the muzzle brake does just as good job in all aspects of it. So let's square it up then. So the muzzle brake, it diverts the flash away from the crosshair, which is why I use the flash hider in the first place. You get good short burst recoil reduction, as you can clearly see from the results. You get shot on top of shot when you single firing. So let's try full auto hip firing then against a wall and see what the difference is there between the flash hider and the muzzle brake. Now you can see that we're using the muzzle brake here with the type of flash we're getting. And what we'll do, we'll get the comparison up of the two, and you can't really see too much here, but with some smart editing skills, there we go, you can clearly see that the muzzle brake tightens the grouping when you're hip firing. So that's another tick in the box for the muzzle brake. The muzzle brake is completely running away so far. Now we have got one more muzzle attachment to test, and that's the compensator, so we'll get straight into that, just because I'm curious that the compensator does something that it's not advertised it's supposed to do. So we'll start with a flash then, and as you can see, the compensator still gives a flash obviously, but it's a slightly different flash. It's more rounded. It still obscures the crosshair every so often, but it's much better using a compensator than nothing at all. So we'll go straight into the normal testing then, and I'm not really expecting too big results to be honest, but then again I wasn't with the muzzle brake either, and look what happened with that. Now the testing for this is going to be obviously exactly the same. So as you can see already, the 2 shots on top of each other is actually quite poor. That's probably the same as the bog standard, and as you can see from the baseline, the compensator, there's no difference at all. In fact, I'm trying to stick up for the compensator here, but you can clearly see yourself that there's very negligible difference, if any difference whatsoever. So there must be a difference with hip firing then, surely. Well, let's find out. So we'll get the comparison up here against the baseline, again with some interesting editing, and yes, very negligible, but there is a difference there, and you do get a tighter grouping, so it's got that for it, I suppose. But apart from that, the muzzle attachment that takes it for me, it has to be the muzzle brake. It used to be the flash hider. I used to religiously use the flash hider, but the muzzle brake seems to give you all the same advantages plus more, so I think I'm going to be changing to muzzle brake from now on, and you get some pretty cool sparks flying out end of your weapon as well. So if anything, it's got that going for it. So we've done the muzzle attachments then. Let's move on to the underbarrel, and we'll do grip, because I think that's pretty much the only one what makes a difference on recoil and stuff. So let's have a check. Now, I have done a dedicated video on vertical grip. If you haven't seen it, then I'll put it in a card above, and you can watch that. But in the meantime, we will obviously do a test on here, with it being a attachment guide. The good thing about grips is you've only really ever got an option between two if you're lucky. Some weapons like the AUG, you can't pick any underbarrel attachments. Now, I'll get the comparison up for the vertical grip so you'll be able to see exactly what's going on. And as you can see, on the left hand side we've got the grip, and on the right hand side we've got the base, and the grip is better across all accounts, especially the full firing ADSing. It's better at all of that. So the next test then we can do is the hip firing against a wall, and we'll see if this makes a difference. I'm not full of hopes that it is going to make a difference, but we'll have a look and we'll soon see. So we've got the two circles there, and with a little bit of editing you can clearly see there that there's literally no difference whatsoever, which is kind of expected. Just remember though, you've only ever got a choice between two grips. If you're lucky, you might as well run one. The angle grip is obviously good for ADSing, so if you're running into rooms really fast, you want to be able to get that weapon up to get some accurate shots down range. If you're more of a take a step back and you want some accurate shooting, maybe over a slightly longer range, then you want to go for a vertical grip to keep the recoil down. Maybe pair it up with flash hider if you want to get rid of the flash, or the newly discovered muzzle brake if you want to get a good spread over all the effects of a muzzle attachment. Again, all I'm doing is giving you the information. It's up to you to do whatever you want with it. If you want to run no attachments, that's absolutely fine. It's up to you. At the end of the day, it's your playstyle and you have to go what works best for you. So I think we've covered everything. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a like. Again, you can leave in the comments down below anything that you think I missed or anything that you want me to cover in future videos, and I'll get right on it and I'll cover it. If you don't want to miss any of these videos, you can feel free to subscribe as well. And obviously, if you hit the bell notification, you'll get notified of any future release. I am trying to get Rainbow Six Siege videos out once every week. This isn't always possible due to me getting my other content out. I think this one took about 8 days or 9 days after my original video, but if you are willing to wait that extra day or two for some Rainbow Six Siege videos, then that's some dedication right there. So again, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, you're absolute legends, and I'll see you next time. Bye.